is ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love your fellow as yourself.
Whoa!
This is part of an original aqueduct.
Rabbi, you have been making a lot of content. A video you made with Nas Daily. I'd love for you to expand on some things that you maybe might have not had a chance to in that video. Tapped in right here in the Western Wall.
Life is about relationship, us and God.
Now we're officially in the Yeshiva.
The command center.
My relationship with Hashem, with God, it's trying to connect him like a father. I'm a son and he's my father.
Us and other people.
I think that's you and Floyd.
Floyd Money Mayweather. He really said to me, where are all the great men? I said to him, well, what makes a man great? You might be a very good fighter, but if you're not being a healthy, kind, sweet, loving person, then you're not really a great man, you're just a great fighter. He's worth $1.3 billion. I'm worth 1.3 shekels.
I feel like we're going into a laboratory.
This room's really cool.
And us and ourselves. To love someone else, you have to love yourself first and be kind to yourself. And then you can really love other people. And that is really expressing godliness in the world and connecting to God.
Thank you to my patrons on Patreon for funding my content. I cannot make these videos without your support, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, patrons. You're the best.
Shalom Chaverim, and welcome back to Israel. I am here in the holy city of Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, looking right over the Temple Mount, the Kotel, the Western Wall, Al-Aqsa Mosque, at the top of Aish Yeshiva in Jerusalem in the Old City. And today I've got some really exciting people to introduce you to. Hello, sir.
Shalom Aleichem.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Who are you? Nice to meet you.
Who am I? That's a very deep question. My name is Dov Bear.
Uh-huh.
I'm passionate about helping people have a great life, live a conscious, meaningful, joyful life. Specifically the Jewish people, but not just. Anyone who wants to create a good life for themselves, that's my mission in the world.
And the man who made this video happen, he needs no introduction, but please introduce yourself again.
I'm Rabbi Yosef Abulafia, and I'm actually alumni from Aish. I was there 2012.
Amazing. We've been making a lot of content on a bunch of different platforms, both on Aish and all over the internet. I've seen some of it. Most recently, I think something that you're getting a lot of traction for is a video you made with Nas Daily, right here on this rooftop, right?
On this roof.
I'd love to talk a little bit about what that experience was like. And being Jews, I feel like it's really hard to encapsulate our way of life, more so than just the religion, the actual way of life and the people. It's really hard to encapsulate that in a 10-minute video on Instagram or on TikTok.
Correct.
I'd love for you to clarify and to expand on some things that you maybe might have not had a chance to in that video.
Thank you. I think many people, and it was not necessarily fair on Nas, thought that these are the two takeaways from Judaism. So he actually said before he came, my two takeaways from Judaism are chevruta, arguing, and community. So I said to him when he came, those aren't the two big takeaways from Judaism. And he said, I know, but the video is not about that. But I think lots of people watching the video got the impression that those are the big takeaways. Whereas really I was trying to give across the message that the main takeaway from Judaism is ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, which means to love your fellow as yourself. So Judaism really teaches that life is about relationship, and there are three main relationships: us and God, us and other people, and us and ourselves. And that relationship has to be one of deep connection and authenticity, and ultimately love. So you have to love yourself. To love someone else, you have to love yourself first and be kind to yourself. And then you can really love other people. And that is really expressing godliness in the world and connecting to God. But for him, that wasn't the purpose of the video. So I actually said to him, the video wasn't very spiritual. I just want to say he's a very good guy. He's got a good agenda. I'm not saying anything bad about him. But I said to him, Judaism really brings spirituality to the world. And what is spirituality? It means knowing that there's something beyond just the physical and emotional and mental world, that there's a soul, there's a pure consciousness. So real spirituality is tapping into identifying with my consciousness above my thoughts and my speech and my action, and then living through that, manifesting that in the world. And that's how I tap into my piece of godliness, and then bring godliness into the world around me. And then do all the other good things he spoke a lot about Nobel Prizes. So again, that is wonderful. And
that leads to it.
I'm very proud of it, but yes, the Nobel Prizes are just an outgrowth of as I said in the video, our drive to impact the world, our spirituality isn't cut off. I spent 6 years living in Asia as a Buddhist monk and teaching Buddhism and Hinduism, and lots of the Eastern spirituality is about disconnecting from the physical world and sitting in a cave. They don't get married, and they don't eat after 12 o'clock, and they don't have money. Jewish spirituality says, no, we must be involved in the world. We have to impact the world, but also we can have nice food. Just make sure it's kosher, say a blessing before we eat and after we eat. You can have lots of money. Just give at least 10% to charity and help people. Even physical intimacy. You can have physical intimacy just with the right person in the right way at the right time for the right motivation. So it's really getting the balance of spirituality and physicality together.
Now, spirituality is an amazing thing. I think we're in a very spiritual location. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about where we actually are.
This is the spiritual center of the universe. What does that mean? Our Kabbalistic sages teach us that the beginning, the Big Bang, the creation of physical reality, which now with quantum physics, we know that even physical reality is really made up of consciousness. If you break everything down, it really began at this point. You have to understand that deeper, because when there's just infinite consciousness, there isn't one point. But from our understanding, there's a center point, and this is where heaven and earth meet, our sages teach us. So the temple stood there, and the purpose of the temple was to bring God's presence even more palpably into the world, because obviously God's everywhere. But it's like there's a different connection. The Wi-Fi is better here. The God Wi-Fi is most powerful here.
It's where you get a good download.
This is a good download.
High speed.
Someone said Moses was the first person to download something from a cloud onto a tablet.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that before. That's a great...
So before that, though, this is where Jacob had his dream. In the Torah, it says that Jacob was running away from Esav, and he stopped in this place, and he dreamed of a ladder, the Sulam Yaakov, with its feet were in the ground, and its head was in the sky. Sulam Mutzav Adsa, a ladder stuck in the ground, V'rosho Megia L'Shmaima, but its head goes up to the sky, which is exactly Jewish spirituality. We have to be very grounded. We have to be in this world. We have to be impacting this world, but always with our sights on something higher, something bigger. What's the purpose? What are our values? What do we want to bring to the world? So it's really having that balance.
And this is that location.
This is that location, and it's from this location that we try to be a light unto the nations. As you can see here, by the way, there's a church and a mosque and a synagogue. It's like we're in it for everyone. The Jewish is really one of the only traditions that I've found which says you don't have to be me. You don't have to be a Jew.
Right.
You can come and pray. Even when the temple stood, it wasn't just for the Jewish people.
It was for everybody.
It's for everyone to come and pray. Well, this is a dual thing, because in one way it's incredible that after 2,000 years of yearning to be in our homeland, our indigenous homeland, we're back again. It's an amazing thing. Can you imagine a Jew in Germany in 1920? And you'd say, hey, we're going to be standing on the roof opposite the Kotel in a yeshiva learning Judaism. It's unbelievable. And even before that, 300 years ago in Eastern Europe, and being kicked out of everywhere, to say we've come home, that's miraculous. However, we're still not there yet. This is what it means to me. We're still not there. There's something, a different building maybe, that is meant to be there, and hopefully we'll be there at some point. So it's that dual, incredible appreciation and wonder of how far we've come, but also a little bit of yearning, because we're not there yet. And when we are there, that means peace to everyone. One of the translations of Jerusalem, made up of two words, Ro'eh Shalom, which means to see peace. Our mission really is, we want peace in the world. We don't want to fight. As someone said, in the current situation, if Israel put down all their weapons, then there'd be no Israel. If Hamas put down their weapons, then there'd be peace. So we have no interest in fighting. I saw an Israeli soldier the other day, and I kind of set him up, but it worked. I said to him, hey, you're an Israeli soldier, you want to go and fight and you want to kill people? And he said, no, actually, I don't want to kill anyone. I was like, what do you mean? You're in the army, you want to get... And he said, no, I don't want to. And I asked the other soldiers around him, and they said, no, we don't want to kill people. If we have to protect our wives and children, then we will, but we have no interest in fighting. I don't want to fight at all, which is very sad about the current situation. But the mission of the Jewish people is to have shalom, peace in the world. once again, Shalom doesn't mean everyone's the same as me. That's not Shalom.
Right.
Shalom means everyone is who they are, playing a role in the symphony, in the harmony of humanity, offering what we can to work together to create this whole unified harmony within people.
So there's a lot of talk about the third temple.
Yep.
I'd love to maybe sort of visualize that for the audience as well, to understand what we actually talk about when we say a third temple or a future temple of the nations here.
Well, in one way, we're talking about consciousness. Definitely about a consciousness where godliness, which really translates as love and peace and joy, and consciousness pervades the whole of humanity to the state that spirituality will become palpable. That you can actually, here to really connect to God, you have to meditate and pray. It's actually quite hard to feel spiritual, and some people are like taking psilocybin and ayahuasca, doing whatever we can. We want to try and feel spirituality. So we say that there's going to come a time where it's not going to be so hard, because spirituality is going to be more manifest in the world. Our sages teach us that what God did before the Big Bang, either 13.8 billion years ago or 5,785 years ago, whichever you want to believe. Before the Big Bang, Hashem, infinite consciousness, made a space within itself to house an other, which is us, to house a finite conscious reality, children, so to speak. So therefore, what is the temple? The temple is us saying, okay, so you made a house for us, the universe, so now we're going to make a house for you, so that you can come and live in the universe. Once again, obviously, the whole of the universe is permeated with godliness, but it means so that we can have a focal point for our relationship. In fact, in that building, there's a room called the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies. It's where the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, is. There's only one person once a year was ever allowed in. The Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur was allowed in that room. And it's called the Cheder HaMita, which means the bedroom. It's called the bedroom, a place of intimacy between human and God. And it's from that space that we bring that into the world, that ultimate relationship of the finite conscious reality reconnecting to the infinite conscious creator.
And leaving one of the most beautiful rooftops in the world.
We're entering the Aish World Center, and it's next to the Yeshiva, and it's slightly different. The World Center is really more for visitors. People come in and they have classes, and we have many different programs, seminars. We have the essential program. Anyone, man, woman, Jew, non-Jew, can come in every day from 11 to 1 and have classes.
Wow.
We call it What You Didn't Learn in Sunday School. And I teach about Jewish spirituality and Torah and music, Torah and science, Torah and meditation, all different things. And we have the Discovery program, which is evidence that a human being couldn't have written the Torah. There are things written in the Torah that no human could have known 3,000 years ago. And we have the Western Wall experience, taking people through the building and explaining what the Western Wall is and what the temple was. And so there's a whole, we used to have about 10,000 people a month come through.
Wow.
Before COVID and then the war. But we're building up again.
What, you said it's open to anyone, like, do people of all walks of life come? Like,
Everyone.
Really?
It's so good. You get Hasidim coming, because often they don't learn the basics. And you get completely secular traveler. I walked in here 17 years ago with my big Nepali poncho, woolen poncho. They actually needed tzitzit, I didn't know that. And I just started learning.
Wow. Are there any notable famous people that have walked through these doors that you have had the personal...
Floyd Money Mayweather.
Really? Oh, he was here recently.
He was here recently, but he was here 2 years ago.
Wow.
And as you say, he loves Israel and Jews.
Yeah, I saw him here in Yerushalayim.
Because of him coming to Aish.
Wow.
When he came to Aish 2 years ago, I'm not sure he was that into it, but I gave him a tour and we connected. Here he is. We're on the roof together.
Amazing, that's you and Floyd.
So I spoke to him about, he really said to me, where are all the great men here? So I said to him, well, what makes a man great? What does it mean to be great? And then I explained to him what it means to be great is to have a positive impact on the world around you. Because you might be a very good fighter, but if you're not being a healthy, kind, sweet, loving person and using your money to impact the world, then you're not really a great man, you're just a great fighter. And he's worth $1.3 billion. I'm worth 1.3 shekels. Yeah, there's a relationship together. I took him down to we have a theatre, I'll take you there. I showed him a video of what Israel achieved in the first 70 years of Israel. Now you got to imagine, you got a group of Holocaust survivors in a desert with no natural resources, surrounded by enemies. What are they going to possibly achieve in 70 years? Well, leading the world in agriculture, medical, patents, science, in every area. Israel's water, reusing water, solar panels. I actually once saw a video, an Argentinian non-Jew talking about BDS, and he said, okay, you can boycott Israel, but if you do, you can't use your phone, your TV, your medicine, your way. Now you can't use anything. How do you do that in 70 years with no natural resources surrounded by enemies? It's very, very empowering. And then he got that, and he was like, yeah, here. So then when the war broke out, he sent that aeroplane.
Amazing.
I wish he'd given me credit for it. If I could get Floyd to say, you know what, I met that crazy rabbi, and he inspired me to support the Jewish people, that would be good.
Maybe he's going to watch this.
The world's greatest glass-blowing artist, Chiuli, very famous. So he made this for us. Fire and water. Fire is hot and goes up. Water is cold and goes down. So really they're completely opposite forces. But when they get together and work together, then you can cook with fire and water. So there's a story, a midrash, that fire and water were arguing. The angel Gabriel and the angel Michael. And water was basically saying, this is how you serve God. You be cold and you flow downwards and you give life. And fire was saying, no way, you've got to be hot and passionate. And they were fighting, and eventually they looked up and they realized, hold on, we're both serving the same God, and I need to be water and you need to be fire. The word for heaven in Hebrew is shamayim, which is made up of the words Aish and mayim. Because when we can get different people working together for the same cause, and that's shamayim, that's heaven, that's real peace. So that's what that represents. It also represents, there's a famous story in the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva, 40 years old, hadn't learnt anything, and he saw a drop of water on a rock, dripping on the rock, and he saw it made an indentation on the rock. So he said, if a small drop of water can make an indentation in the rock, then just learning every day, learning some Torah a little bit, that can change me as a person. And then he became Rabbi Akiva, the greatest rabbi ever, basically. So that's also part of Aish's mission, to say it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how much you know, but if you're committed to just putting in the effort, consistent effort, one drop at a time, then you can completely transform yourself and therefore transform the world around you.
This idea of uniting water and fire together, is it specific to what we see here that's going on in the country, or this is a global idea? This is for the whole nation, for the whole world, for all the nations? That's
such a good question, and the answer is all of our ideas are global ideas. Mm-hmm. It's universal. That's what it is. It's God's guidebook for life for everyone, Jew, non-Jew, man, woman. It doesn't matter. Every idea in Judaism is basically a global idea. However, we say this is Israel's the power source. It's all coming. It all flows from here. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah or Devar Hashem Yerushalayim. From this place is where that power comes out.
Yeah, here's the movie theater.
Movie theater.
Wow. Like Ben Shapiro came and did a whole...
Wow, look at this place.
Kirk Douglas Theatre. So we got lots of... We make movies as well to inspire Jews, what it means to be a Jew, what our role is. Noach Weinberg, when he set up Aish 1973, his real mission was just to empower Jews with a Jewish identity and find the unity. Because this is one of his major teachings, what connects Jews? Is it religion? Unfortunately, it's not religion. It actually divides us. Are we a nation? Most Jews haven't been to Israel. They don't speak Hebrew. Are we a race? No, very different Jews. Are we a culture? Yemenite Jews and British Jews, very different. So what are we? We're B'nai Israel. We are this family. But he noticed that we're kind of a dysfunctional family. So what we can do is don't focus on our different, but you can still love and respect someone even if they have different beliefs to you. Like brothers and sisters, we might believe different things, we still love and respect each other, but let's find what we do have in common. And what do we have in common? Our values. Improve ourselves, work on your character traits, improve the world, make an impact, and show how the Torah really taught the world morality. all morality nowadays really comes from the Torah, and spirituality comes from the Torah, teaching the idea of one God. And as we said, technology and civilization is coming through the Jewish people. So he said, you're part of the greatest nation who ever walked the face of the earth, so be proud of that, step up, step into that. So that's what Aish is really doing. One of my rabbis said when I first got here when I was 29, I wasn't religious. He said, if you become religious and then you look down on other people, especially other Jews, they're reformed, they're progressive, then you didn't become religious, you became self-righteous. Because the more you get connected to God and Torah, the more you just love people. And you want to connect and help them and be there.
They used to have a class here, watching The Matrix.
Yes, we still do. I think we had
it.
it. I don't do it. Rabbi runs it.
I've done that class like 7 times. And they pause it like throughout the movie, like showing how it's Jewish, how that's Kabbalistic. It was cool.
I've never seen The Matrix before, so I'd love to come to see that
You should
sometime.
do it.
That sounds really cool.
They did it last week. I'll tell you next time they do it.
This is really cool. I've never been to a yeshiva before that has a movie theater in it.
I wish we had a historian here. I should know this better, but this
Whoa.
is part of an original aqueduct that brought water to Jerusalem from
Wow.
springs down south.
Look at that. Are you guys excavating it right now? No.
I think this is what we have. We're excavating here, down here.
Wow.
This whole area is an excavation. I think they should build a swimming pool with water slides.
An ancient swimming pool.
Water park.
Look at this place. That's crazy. Wow. So this is the dining room.
Dining room where we feed the bodies of the Jewish people, because you have to have a healthy body
Right.
and a healthy mind.
How does this work? Do people eat communally here together?
Yeah.
Everybody sits down for a meal?
Sit down, eat together, pray together, learn
Amazing.
together.
Amazing. And you get such a beautiful view while you're eating. Look at this amazing view you have here through the windows. Everywhere you go, there's a reminder of like that energy tapped in right here in the Western Wall. And this whole area is beautiful.
Now we're officially in the yeshiva.
Oh, wow. I feel like I just entered Hogwarts, kind of.
The command center. So when I first walked in here,
Yeah.
17 years ago, I'm used to a library, you sit quietly. Here, people shouting at each other, why, what are you doing? And I found out people literally are just passionate about knowing what's real, what's true.
It's crazy. The second you cross through there, you feel like you're in Harry Potter, like Hogwarts all of a sudden. It's a very epic yeshiva.
This is Jewish Hogwarts.
And it's quite
It's amazing.
it's quite empty at the moment because this is actually the break time.
Right. So usually
There's
it's
a
even
break
more
time,
full than this.
But people use their break to carry on learning. That's
what,
amazing.
What kind of things are this? Are they? Is everyone here a student? Are people here teachers? Or how does it
At the
work?
moment, most people are students.
Students.
There are some teachers. It looks mostly students.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you go and ask them? Say, what are you learning?
Okay. What are you learning on the time?
Right now, specifically,
Yeah.
I'm learning Mishnah Brura with my Rabbi Jacobson. We're learning specifically right now about Rosh Hashanah. So we're getting prepared for like the holy holiday Rosh Hashanah, one of the biggest days of the year, and just making sure we're prepared for the big day, knowing how do you say halacha in English.
Halacha is the guidelines for doing it in the most conscious and meaningful way.
It's a pretty good answer. In
Amazing.
English.
What are you usually learning in here when you're sitting in here? What are the topics that you'd be learning here?
So we learn a lot of Talmud here, Gemara,
Yeah.
which is
the oral Torah.
yes, which is kind of like this, just on a much more complicated level, I guess you could say. A lot more in depth, a lot more rabbis commentating and giving their opinions, etc. There's other stuff I learned as well, like Musar, which is like grow in the best way we can as human beings. Not even just as like Jews. Of course, there's a lot of it's religiously, just as human beings, how to be the best we can be, and yeah, just try to be the best we could be every day.
What is one thing, if you could pinpoint, that's like the biggest lesson you've learned since you started learning here, since you started coming to yeshiva?
A big thing I've learned is that it's my relationship with Hashem, with God. It's not just like me trying to, like, he's not just a king, I guess. He's literally like, I'm trying to connect him like a father. Like, I'm a son and he's my father. And it's really a relationship. It's not just, so I'm like, like, God, please give me this, give me that, oh, like, thank you, and move on. It's like really like Hashem, like, I know you're hearing me, God, I know you're hearing me, and I know you want to hear me as well. It's both ways, and it's just really just connecting both ways. It's really a relation. I guess I've learned that it's a relationship with God. It's not just a one-way street.
Amazing, man. Oh, cool. I'm just snooping around, and they have like a little library here. I guess there's not a lot of students. Look, first of all, how many books there are. But this is super cool. Somebody's backpack here. There's a Aramaic, Hebrew, English dictionary of the Babylonian Talmud. Just to explain that, for those of you who don't understand, Aramaic is the ancient language that the Bible is written in. Actually, 2 of my grandparents spoke Aramaic fluently before they passed away. Hebrew is the modern creation of Hebrew that comes from the Torah. You know, it's the modern state of Hebrew. Obviously, we used to have ancient Hebrew, but what we study today is a totally different Hebrew, or what we use today. And then English to sort of explain it. That's super, super cool. Yeah, look at this library full of books, full of people learning. I want to ask you, maybe it'll be a stupid question, but I want to ask you another question.
Sure.
Is there some sort of special holiness that needs to be in these kinds of rooms where people are studying? Like, there's no Torah in here, there's no Aron HaKodesh in these kinds of rooms, right?
Usually there is, but sometimes not. But the Aron HaKodesh, Aron is right there. It's actually made out of glass.
Whoa, can we see that?
See it?
Yeah. Wow, that surprised me. I didn't expect that, actually.
This is really cool. You know the story of Rabbi Akiva with the water dripping on the rock, like he was talking about earlier? Check out the rock. And with the water, it's dripping on the rock.
Amazing.
And this is
I've never seen an Aron HaKodesh made out of glass.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so cool. You can see that's beautiful. You can actually see the Torah inside of there. That's amazing. This is one of the most beautiful yeshiva rooms I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible.
Probably have learned now that they don't.
So, continuing that question, maybe it sounds a little weird to ask, but like, do people pray here as well, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll pray like their regular synagogue prayer in here as well.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
And know that the Torah that they're learning is making the room holier and holier, and you can only go up in kedusha, in holiness.
Unbelievable.
So that's really what makes the room holy.
That's amazing.
All the prayers and all the Torah learning.
And look, even here you have another balcony. Like every part of this building, you have a balcony going out to sea to connect with the most important place to us.
I lived here for 3 years. I had so much fun. It's amazing.
Look at this place. Wow. You're a celebrity around here, huh?
He's one of my rabbis.
Wow. Hello. Yeah,
this
look at that.
roof is actually new. It used to be open.
Oh, really?
But, made it into a new room.
So these are bathrooms.
Are they active right now? Are there people learning right now?
Yeah, well, not right now.
Oh. Wow. Goes through an ancient tunnel as well. I feel like we're going into a laboratory.
This room is really cool.
What did you say? What is this room?
It's a meditation and tefillah room. Tefillah is translated as prayer, but that says nothing. Tefillah really means creating a deep connection. And so before people go to the kotel, we explain what is prayer, who are you really, what is it, what's the relationship with God. For example, prayer, part of prayer is we praise Hashem, we praise God. That feels a bit weird. Why does God need that praise? Is he insecure? But no, it's really for us so that we can see the wonder of life. And just say, my goodness, look at the world, look at my eyes, look at just, people are so busy running around doing their jobs, they very rarely just stop and look at how amazing the world is. And then we request things from God. Well, if God loves me and knows what I want, well, I don't need to request things. So once again, it's for me, so I can understand my own values. What do I really want? What's important? And we thank God. So I asked, why do we have to thank God? He's insecure? But no, it's for me, because gratitude, that creates happiness in life. I lived in Sri Lanka and I worked in orphanages, and in India orphanages, and lots of the kids were happier than some of my friends in England. even though they were the least privileged people in the world and they were the most privileged people, because they just had gratitude. They appreciated every meal they got. So when the Torah teaches us we have to praise and request and thank, it's not because God needs that. It's because we need that to become conscious, healthy, loving, connected human beings. So we spend time and we meditate and breathe, come into the present moment, and then when they go to the kotel, it's actually a meaningful experience, not just a wall.
Amazing. I'm listening to everything you say on and off camera. And the biggest question, you have obviously impacted me a lot. Like after we film this video, we're going to buy a Sidor together, which I'm really excited for. And I love your ideology. I see a lot of semblance between the two things that you guys are preaching. How do we bring Jewish people in the world to this point of higher consciousness of what it means to be a Jew? Because the way that you guys describe our religious beliefs and how you go about practicing them and what you believe in is, in my opinion, it's so real. It's so deep. It's what I want from our people. And I don't see it so often. How do you think we can make that impact on the world?
I think the first thing is to break the misconceptions. Because a lot of people, and I did growing up, not religious, I saw the religious people, they're wearing black and white and they seem to be so different. And also the conception of God being an angry man in the sky, and of Torah being a list of rules that I have to do so I don't get punished, is, I think lots of people on the surface level from the outside, Judaism comes across as just a bunch of rules and not so spiritual. But once you get in it and you understand, we don't believe in the angry man in the sky, and we believe that the Torah is actually a guidebook. It's really a mindfulness manual. The Shulchan Aruch, the book of Jewish law, is how do I put on my shoes in a conscious way? And how do I eat in a conscious way? And what is a blessing? So rather than a burdensome obligation, I see Jewish law as an amazing opportunity to become more conscious and mindful. Unfortunately, when you do it every day, it's hard to keep it up. So it's true, you go into a Buddhist temple, you already feel peaceful. You go into a Hindu temple, you feel ecstatic chanting. Right. Go into your average Jewish synagogue, it's not so impressive. It seems like people are just trying to pray and go home. So we've got to be able to show that actually there is deep consciousness, but it does take a little bit of mindful work to keep it going every day, to put on your tefillin. You love putting on tefillin.
I love it.
Because it's meaningful for you and you can feel it palpably, and it's connecting your head and your heart and your actions, and 7 wraps around your arm to represent spiritual energies so you understand it. If we don't understand what the prayer book is saying, you said you're going to get a Sidor. The truth is, some people say if prayer is communication from the heart authentically with God, a Sidor doesn't make any sense, because it's words written 2,000 years ago in a language maybe I don't understand, and I'm told when to say it. So on the surface, it doesn't make sense, but once you understand the words, Baruch means to pull down God consciousness, or you're the source of everything. And Ata, I'm speaking literally to God who's there. And if you understand the Sidor is taking you on higher and higher levels, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual consciousness. So if we don't understand it, then it's meaningless. So the answer to your question is education. The people have education and experience. People have to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, but then they have to experience it in a deep and joyful way.
What about you, Hazi?
That was beautifully said. I would say also dive deep into the secrets of Torah, because that's where you'll get a lot of your answers. And when I became observant, a very wise man told me, do not judge Judaism by the Jews. No, they don't represent Judaism. We've been through a lot of trauma. So there's not many Jews that are actually perfectly doing what Judaism is said to do. But there are tzaddikim out there. So if you can, look for a tzaddik, like a true tzaddik, and see how he acts. And it's all within Kabbalah and Chassidus. That's where you'll find the essence of what Judaism is.
Amazing.
And if you can't find a true tzaddik, we're trying our best, so you can come to us first. We'll teach you what we know.
I totally feel it. I couldn't recommend more.
We'll We'll try and help people on a journey until we can find the truth,
I think like exactly what you guys said is just, it's so important to somehow push this side of our religious beliefs. I have a hard time. I've been trying to avoid even calling us a religion because I really detach from that label.
It's a relationship.
It's a relationship, totally. It's a feeling. It's a thing. And the what you just said about the man in the sky. And that's what I learned. What I think I told you this when we first met. Like I learned the definition of God truly when I was here on a yeshiva trip in 2015 on a rooftop in the old city, where a rabbi explained to me for the first time ever. He put it to me in words of like, we don't believe in the man of the sky. You cannot personify God to us, because God is here. He's there. He's the floor. He's the sky. He's everything around you, and it's everything. And it's you, and it's them. It's all of it.
And completely above and beyond it, infinitely.
And every time it's always happening, it's always forward, it's always backward. It's a concept that's really hard to grasp your head around. And when you grow up in the West, we all grew up with this concept of big, white, bearded man in the sky with maybe a scepter or whatever looking at you and judging everything that you do.
Yeah.
And that's just not it. And once I was able to release myself from that shackle, this whole experience of being a Jew has become infinitely more amazing. It's become just the most amazing. It's like the biggest zchut in the world to be a part of this. And like, it's so amazing to be able to talk to the two of you guys who are so tapped into that 1,000 times more than me. Like, I feel like I can learn so much from the two of you. Being able to bring this to millions of people all over the world, hopefully, is the coolest thing in the world, you know?
Be'ezrat Hashem.
Bezrat Hashem.
It's only the beginning.
Be a rabbi.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we are exiting the Aish building. Yecheskel and I are going on a little bit of a side quest,
Yeah,
a
let's
little
do it.
brotherly side quest. So a few days ago when I was in Tzfat, Chezi brought out this Sidor, which is a Jewish prayer book, which is, in my opinion, the coolest one I've ever seen in my life. Kabbalistic prayer book, and it has all kinds of instructions on how to meditate with the prayer. And
throughout the prayer book, there's so many meditations, as I showed you, and we'll give them a little glimpse once we get it.
And so you said there's a friend of yours in the old city that has it, right?
He helped translate it.
Amazing.
And he I just called him. He's ready for us. So let's go see.
Oh, sweet. I'm excited. Let's go get the Sidor.
If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to monetarily support the channel. Some of the best ways to support me happen to be PayPal, buy me a coffee, or joining our Patreon community. Links to them can be found in the pinned comments or the description of every one of my videos. Joining my Patreon community gives you access to exclusive content and the chance to talk to me on our Discord server. I also go live almost every day here on YouTube. And after my live streams, me and my patrons from Patreon head over to our Discord server to an exclusive after-party hangout. Your support is the only way that I can keep creating the content that you love watching for me. Thank you.